Okay, so responding to discussion three. This week we talked about, read about depression, and the prompt was asking us about signs and symptoms, pathophysiology, and treatment of adolescence. So the first part, the signs and symptoms that are associated with depression in teens and kids. Similar to adults, this is all comes from the National Institute of Mental Health website, which had a lot of good information, where a lot of my resources came from this week. So they basically said fatigue, overeating, feelings of hopelessness, decreased energy, aches, pains, digestive problems. They related to similar to adults, and with their page on that talked about kids, they basically said it's could be difficult to determine because of the changing nature of the kids' brains, and it could be similar to a phase. But they one thing that they did say, if teachers or other caregivers kind of give you a suggestion that the kids they see a change in their behavior, that should be checked out by the pediatrician, make sure there's no physical signs, and then move on to the psychiatric care. So moving on to the next question, pathophysiology of depression in kids. There was a great video that was done, and I'll have the link up there for that. But it's a basically a neuro imaging scientist got up and talked about the developing brain in adolescence. It's titled "What Goes On in the Adolescent Brain." It was by Dr. Jay Geed. So they just went on to basically, they basically talked about how the brain develops and went into, what could possibly cause the changes such as depression, schizophrenia, autism, those types of things. It was pretty interesting, about 30-minute video. So basically what he talked about is that the brain is changeable, and basically that dopamine is a major factor in how the brain sees right or wrong, what's good, what's bad. If something's really good, dopamine's released and puts can give a pathway to development. Like this was a good choice we made. So dopamine was released in the brain, and we will continue to make that choice. And he basically said that by 8 months, the brain has all its basic all its neurons there. It has all the alphabet, and he related it. Brain development is kind of like making a book. So at 8 months, you have your alphabet, and from that alphabet, you form words, sentences, paragraphs, and that is that's in your frontal cortex. And so he just went on that and the brain matures by becoming more connected and specialized, and that brain development doesn't completely finalize until you're about 25. And it just goes on to say that there's still some plasticity in your how you learn and things like that, but the major forming of the development of the brain is pretty well complete at 25, or you start to get, he called it white matter, and the plasticity of the neurons kind of aren't as flexible as they were when you were younger. So we just went on. They hit on a lot of different subjects in the video, and just the reason that in caveman times there was not really adolescence. There was adulthood, and there's kid, and then you were an adult. and he relates that this adolescence is basically due to evolution, and that we've had to have this adolescence because our current culture and the way we live now is it takes a while for your brain to figure out exactly what you're going to be good at, and this allows your brain to be more adaptable to different situations. So so then he goes on to speak about the actual relationship between hormones, genes, and that there's increased focus on hormones, but that he points out a study um, that it's more genes, and then the dopamine response kind of turns on these genes that uh, can either lead to good or bad things. So like you may have the gene for schizophrenia or depression or things like that, and according to certain factors and basically what gets turned on is can lead to these things, and if they don't get turned on, they may or may not lead to depression or other issues like schizophrenia. So, um, and so, yeah. So it was a really good video. There was a question and answer section with it that had just a lot of good information about kids and how their brain develops. Thought it was relevant for this discussion. The next question talked about treatment, and again, coming from the National Institute of Mental Health, they did some studies, and currently the only medicine approved to treat depression in kids 8 or older is Prozac, and it's SSRI, which is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And they went on to talk about how this combined with cognitive, behavioral therapy, these combination of factors, when their studies has actually reduced the number of suicide and suicidal attempts in kids and adolescents. So, again, with children, they emphasize that this is kind of a new field in the last. This has only been going on for about 20 years. Seems like a long time, but for science and research, it's fairly young, and so a lot more research needs to be done, and research is ongoing. And, this National Institute of Mental Health website was very informative on, especially the kid side of it. So, yeah, look forward to everyone's responses, and have a good week.